Over the last 10 years, I've made over 7 figures selling coaching and online courses. So I would like to share with you the things I've learned over those last 10 years and also the things I wish I knew before starting. One of the most important things when you want to sell information, whether it's coaching, online course, or consulting, is that who you sell to is more important than what you sell. Because I see a lot of people that think they are in the wrong niche, or maybe in their niche it's hard to charge high prices and things like that. But what I've noticed is that it doesn't matter what niche you're in as long as you have the right kind of client. For example, if you are in the niche or weight loss fitness industry, well, you can find like cheap online courses for $100, $200 kind of thing. But on the other end of the spectrum, you can find coaching program for rich people. They pay $5,000 or $10,000. It's still the same niche, but it's a different avatar. So it's like when you have your skill set and your knowledge that you want to help others with, you need to ask yourself the question of like, what kind of people do I want to attract, and what kind of people can afford to pay high price? And usually those are the people that you want to focus on. And it's not about, just overcharging people, but it's just because if they pay such high prices, it's usually because they have a return on investment. For example, if you help a CEO lose weight with fitness and things like that, and he's able to perform better at work, it makes sense financially for him to spend $5,000. But on the other hand, if you teach a student that doesn't have income or job to get a six-pack, the value to him is not huge in terms of like financial return on investment. And so it's going to be hard to justify a high price. So pick your avatar, pick your ideal client wisely, because if you attract the right kind of people, you will be able to charge high price. And that leads me to my second point, is that start with high ticket offer. If you're starting out your business, don't try to sell a cheap course to get started. Don't try to write an ebook or start a school community. Just create one good high ticket offer. And for a few reasons. First, if you're starting out your business, it's going to allow you to make a decent income faster. Because if you sell an offer for like $3,000 or $5,000, whatever, you just need like a few clients per month to make your first 10K a month. But if you start with a low ticket offer, like an online course, well, you're going to need like hundreds of customers in order to make 10K a month. But the thing is, when you're starting out, by default, you don't have a big following. You don't have a big community or maybe a lot of money to invest in advertising. So if you want to, get some momentum and start getting some decent income from your business, I would recommend to create a high ticket offer first. That's one of the mistakes that I did back in 2016. I was creating content about music production in French in my first business. And then I started creating online courses for like $67. Then I created other courses for like $197 kind of thing. And, it worked at the beginning. I was able to make a few thousands per month because my following was growing on YouTube on my other channel. But looking back, like I think if I had sold like a higher ticket offer for like $2,000, $3,000 or $4,000, I would have grown my business faster and I would have made more money. So that's one thing that I would recommend. Start by creating a high ticket offer. And one of the reasons also is that when you're going to start launching an offer, a product, a course, or like a coaching program, if you give your following or your leads the option to choose between two offers, they will usually pick the cheapest one and think, oh, I'm going to get started with that and see the result. So let's say you start making content and then you release a cheap course and then you create a high ticket program. Well, most people will buy the cheap thing in the first place. So that's the problem. You will lose some sale that you could have got for your high ticket offer, because when you come to the market and you only have one offer, one thing to sell, well, by default, it's a binary decision. It's either they buy the expensive stuff or they don't buy. So you will actually get more people to buy the high ticket program if you start with that. Now, for the third thing that I would like to say in this video is that in order to have disproportionate result, meaning like extraordinary result that are not like other people, you need to have some kind of edge. And there are kind of different edges you can have in selling coaching or online courses. The first one can be in your method, or like the way you deliver the result to your client. That's called usually in copywriting the mechanism. So it's about like how do you fulfill the promise. For example, I have a client right now. He teaches people how to make 10K a month with an RV cleaning business. And we're getting a lot of great results because the mechanism is quite unique. Like you see a lot of people that teach about make 10K a month with dropshipping, make 10K a month with this or that business, or even like some people teach about cleaning business in general. But for him, it's quite unique because RV cleaning business, there's almost nobody else that teaches that. And so it's also like remove all the constraint from other businesses. Like if you want to start a Amazon FBA business, you need to invest in inventory, you need to wait, there's a lot of competition. But on the other hand, with this mechanism, with this way of fulfilling the promise, well, it's way easier, and so it stands out in the market. So that's one thing. And those things have a time frame to them. For example, in the weight loss or fitness niche, like maybe 10 years ago, intermittent fasting was the new mechanism. Then maybe it was like keto diet. But at some point, like people catch on and you start to get a lot of competition using the same mechanism. And then it's kind of like you need to find a new mechanism. So that's one thing. Now, another thing that you can have as a mechanism, if you don't have a unique way of doing the thing that you teach, could just be to have a social media following. Like if you build some authority, create some content over time, like people will buy for you, even though you don't have a unique mechanism or of getting the result for a client. It's just harder when you're starting out. One other thing that you can have is having a big track record in your industry. And I don't mean that you need to be an expert or have like fancy degrees, but if you teach something and you've had a lot of success doing that, well, even if you're starting your business, people will notice that you know what you're talking about. And so it will be easier to sell on the transformation, because at the end of the day, people pay for a transformation, they pay for a result. And the price that they pay is related to the likelihood of them getting the result, or at least the perceived likelihood. And that's why, for example, when you go to a weight loss for surgeon for like liposuction, you would pay like $10,000-$15,000, because I mean there's like 100% success rate. You don't have to do the work, it's just gonna happen, right? But if you buy maybe an ebook about weight loss, I mean the perceived likelihood of getting the transformation is quite low, because you still have like to change your diet, do the workout and all these things. And that's why people pay way less money for that kind of thing. So if you have a huge track record in your industry, in your niche, people are going to be way more confident in you delivering the result, and so they pay for certainty, so you'll be able to charge a higher price as well. And that doesn't mean if you don't have a lot of track record in your industry, you shouldn't be selling coaching or even like a high ticket coaching program, but it just, you might be able to command a higher price if you have a huge track record. And so there's also a timing into this. For example, back when I started in 2016, not many people were doing YouTube videos about music production in French, like I was doing. And so I was able to get ahead way faster. And that allowed me to reach six figure quite easily with my business selling online courses. Now, if I were to do the exact same thing I did 10 years ago in today's world, I don't think I would get the same result, just because the competition started catching on, and so there's less demand compared to the supply for exactly what I was doing. So you need to think about like the expertise that you have, and you need to combine it into a high ticket coaching offer, attracting the right people and having a good mechanism, a good way of fulfilling the promise of your offer. Now, one other thing is to keep it simple. I see a lot of people come on a call with me, even some of my clients, they're like, oh, I want to have like a medium offer, I want to have like a high ticket offer, I want to have like an entry product, a book, a community, all these sorts of things. You don't need like 1,000 offer to make 6 or 7 figures. Like you can make 7 figures per year with just one offer, because if you sell something for like $5,000, to make 7 figures, that's just 200 clients. Like 200 clients, no matter what the market you sell to, there's thousands of people. Like in the US alone, there's like 300 million people. So if you just need 200, you don't need to have like 5 different offers. And it's best to only have one, and ideally a high ticket offer, because this way you can focus on making the product even better. That means your client will get more result, That means you'll get more testimonial, and then you get more client, and it compounds over time, and you can also improve the product and get feedback and all these sorts of things. So keep it simple. Don't try to do 10 things at once. Just start with one high ticket offer. No, one thing that is important about info or like online business in general, especially if you go the organic way of creating content and all these things, is that it's not linear growth. And you need to be honest and set your expectation about that. When you're going to start your business, don't expect it to work within a month or within 2 months. It can work sometime, obviously. Like I have some of my clients that start working with me, go from like 0 to 10K a month in like 2 months, for example. But like for some people, it takes longer. Like when I started 10 years ago, it took me around 8 months to make my first income. And within a year, I made my first 10K a month. But usually the way online business grows is pretty exponential. And it's not exponential like this, but there's like a decay phase. So the start is really slow, and at some point it starts to pick up, and then it grows out of the blue like a rocket kind of thing. So I'll try to put maybe like an image so you can comprehend this better. But it's usually like not linear. There are like different bottlenecks, and each time you solve one of these bottlenecks, you will get like a huge peak of growth, and then it will stabilize for a bit, and then the next bottleneck, and then you can grow again. So just know like when you're going to grow your business, it's going to be like that, and don't give up before you see the result that you want to see. Now, and yeah, one thing that is related to that is what I would say the shiny object syndrome. Like you may have heard this, people talk about this all the time. But it's like I see people, they get started with creating a coaching business, course business, whatever. They work on it for a few weeks, for a month, and then they don't see the result that they wanted in the first place. And so then they start like another business. It could be that either they start a new business together, so they go from like coaching to doing like drop shipping, or it could be that they switch their offer or their niche or, all these kind of things. And what happened is that you don't really know what's working or not. Because to assess like a business or like a coaching offer, you want to get enough volume and enough data to be able to know exactly if it's working or not. Like if you had 2 sales calls and you didn't close any, you cannot say that your offer is not working because you don't have like a big enough sample size to just assess the closing rate, right? You want to be having like 30 calls, 40 sales calls, and know exactly, okay, what's the conversion rate, what's the cash collected, what's the revenue generated kind of thing. And then like, okay, is the offer working? But most people, they will like start making YouTube videos for like a month or two. They get maybe like 1 or 2 booked call. They don't sign any client. They think, oh, this is not working. I need to change my offer. And then they change. And then you start all over again. And you never get past that learning phase. So you want to, think about what you're going to do and plan it and say, okay, I'm going to do this for the next 6 months. I'm not going to change anything. Just keep doing the same thing until you have enough data to be able to make an informed decision based on the facts, not based on your feelings or emotions. And the last thing that I want to say is like, there's no such thing as passive income, to be honest. Like you see a lot of these gurus saying, oh, sell digital product and build passive income. At the end of the day, it's a business, right? Unless you hire people to do the job for you, which is not usually the case for people starting these kind of businesses, it's going to take some work. Like there's no such thing as passive income. Like at some point, I stopped working for a few months, maybe 6 months to a year, something like that, a couple of years ago. And I had a lot of YouTube videos up on my other channel about music production. So they were still bringing views every day because they were ranking on SEO keywords. So I was getting some traffic daily, and I was getting some client on autopilot because it was like an online course they could buy by themselves with no sales call kind of thing. But at some point, like if you don't do anything, the business will just, decline over time. Like, because if you're not growing, you're declining. So there's no such thing as passive income. And you need to like it. If you don't like, coaching people, talking to people, helping people, or like creating courses, creating content, the marketing of it, the subject niche you're talking about, like if you don't like it and you're just doing it for the money, I think it might not be the best fit, because you need to have like that desire to create content and help people in the first place. So yeah, there's no such thing as passive income in this business. That doesn't mean you need to work 60 hours. Like I would say on average, I work maybe 20 to 30 hours per week. I don't really count, or I don't really have to force myself because I like what I do. But I would say, yeah, that's pretty much it. At the end of the day, it's a business. Like, you need to get shit done. You need to take action, massive amount of action, and that takes some time, because if it was just easy as, pressing a button and sitting on a beach waiting for a passive income, everybody would be doing it. And then by default, if everybody is doing something, it becomes a commodity, so it has no value, so you don't make any money. So yeah, that's pretty much the thing. So yeah, that's pretty much what I've learned over the last 10 years, making 7 figures, selling online courses and coaching. I would say, to sum it up, sell high ticket and choose wisely who you're selling to. Those are the two main things. And if you can, have a unique mechanism of delivering the promise in your niche. So if you want to, grow your business, scale to 10K a month or more, and you want me to help you do it, there's a link in the description you can click. I've made a video for you to explain how I can help you and how I help my clients grow their own coaching and courses business. So click that and watch that now. And you can also book a call if you want, to talk with me about your business and see how we could work together to grow it. That's it for this video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.